Okay, moving on. There was an article recently online from NBC News. The search for extraterrestrial life is going to look at our nearest galactic neighbor. And it reads, scientists are starting to look for life in our galactic backyard. Alpha Centauri, two stars that at just over 4 light years, which is about 25 trillion miles, away, are the closest sun-like stars to our solar system, is the focus of a new effort to find planets that could reveal signs of life. The project centers on building a small space telescope dubbed Ptolemy, after a medieval name for the star, that will go into Earth's orbit in about 2 years and could start detecting planets by about 2025. Although Alpha Centauri is right next door in astronomical terms, no planets have been detected around its binary star system. If any are found, their atmospheres could be scanned for the biosignatures created by extraterrestrial life, a relatively new astronomical technique that could allow scientists to determine by telescope if there's alien life, especially microbial, on distant planets. More than 4,000 alien planets have now been confirmed, but they've been largely discovered thanks to lucky alignments, said project leader Peter Tuthill, a professor of astrophysics at the University of Sydney. There's a little bit of a dark secret that astronomers have been keeping, he said. We're not actually very good at finding planets. Most of the exoplanets, as they're known, have been discovered by automated systems like the Kepler Space Telescope, which watches continuously for planets crossing in front of hundreds of thousands of stars. But finding planets around a particular star system, such as Alpha Centauri, is much more difficult. To improve their chances, the new space telescope will have a specially etched mirror to create what's known as a diffractive pupil effect, spreading the incoming starlight from a tiny point into a much larger flower-shaped pattern that can better reveal any of the very slight wobbles caused by the gravity of orbiting planets. The Alpha Centauri system has 2 stars similar to the Sun orbiting each other at about 20 times the distance between the Sun and the Earth, Tuthill said. Each has its own so-called Goldilocks zone, where rocky planets are at just the right temperature to have liquid water on their surfaces, which is thought to be necessary for life as we know it to evolve. In 2016, 2 planets were discovered around what could be a third star in the system, the red dwarf Proxima Centauri, discovered by telescope in 1915 and slightly closer to us than the other 2. But they're not thought to be suitable for life because Proxima emits dramatic flares that can be 100 times more powerful than flares from the Sun, Tuthill said. That means the sun-like stars of Alpha Centauri may be our best bet for locating signs of alien life. If we found an Earth-mass planet in the habitable zones there, that would constitute a holy grail, a true analog, he said. That would potentially be in an environment that could have all of the same conditions that we know here on Earth. So it's interesting that, a lot of the mainstream scientists, they pretty much ignore the things, the stuff that's been going on, the stuff that we talk about most of the time on here. I mean, but at the same time, they're doing their job. I mean, they would be doing this even if it's becomes a known fact that alien beings are present on this planet, on our planet, visiting our planet. They would still be doing things like this because that's what we have to do. We still have to learn things on our own. We still have to discover things on our own. So, I mean, this is an interesting thing that this Alpha Centauri star system, if we can't see it now, but this telescope, I mean, it might show us that, okay, yeah, there's planets there. And if there are, and we could make a determination, then our scientists can make a determination that this could be a place where there's life similar to what we have here on Earth. It's possible. I mean, of course, we still won't know everything about. We would know at least we could probably say with certainty on a microbial level that it would be there. But again, the mainstream scientists largely they don't concern themselves with the stuff that's been reported here. They're not talking about that. They're talking about continuing their own research, like trying to discover things on their own, for themselves, for the benefit of humankind, and that's fine. But they ignore the reports. I mean, basically, they're operating on a system that basically believes that everything is. All these reports over the years, reports of abduction, even the stuff that the Pentagon's talking about, the Pentagon confirming that, yeah, there's objects out there, we can't explain them, and you're even getting things from comments from from NASA, from the head of NASA, from the head of the Department of Defense and whatnot recently, saying, yeah, it could be extraterrestrial. They're not even concerning themselves with that. They're completely divorced from the reports and the research that's been conducted throughout the years. They just pretend that doesn't exist, and that's fine. I'm not saying I don't have a problem with it, but that's how they operate. I mean, like, I don't know how they would react, when if the proof was presented to them, the absolute, undeniable, 100% proof. I guess they would change their tune at that point, but. It's just interesting that it's not talked about within mainstream science. It's still considered a joke to them. And there's other articles here that I've been reading this weekend, pretty much the same thing. Mainstream scientists are completely divorced from all of the UFO reports, that have been made throughout the years, all of the research that's been done, the evidence that they've landed, all that stuff. They don't care. The reports of abduction, they don't believe. Like, as far as they're operating on the assumption that 100% of that stuff is bogus, and that's what this seems like. And I could continue here because there's another article from Scientific American, and this was how scientists could tell the world if they find alien life. This was published on November 10th, and basically, it's a concern among mainstream scientists that when it comes to the point that in the future where it's discovered that they feel pretty strongly that they've discovered like some microbes that prove that there's life beyond Earth. Like, how are they going to tell the human race about this? They don't want to make a fool out of themselves. Like, it's happened in the past. I mean, there's been things that, okay, we think this Mars rock has evidence of alien life, and then it turns out that no, it didn't. So now they're going to come up with a scale from 1 to 7, basically. I'll leave a link for this article here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they're going to basically come up with a scale from 1 to 7. Okay, if it's a 1, it might be. There's a good chance of it, but if it's a 7, yeah, that's probably. So the next time that they find if something's discovered on Mars, for instance, that proves that there's life, I mean, they'll decide. Okay, this is if it's solid proof, it's undeniable. Okay, they'll probably give it a 7, but if it's maybe they'll give it a 1 or a 2, and then this way they're covering their butts. And I guess that's a concern. I don't know, but again, they are proceeding as completely divorced from what we talk about on here, about the UFO, the constant sightings, the military concern throughout the decades. The military concern right now, we have all the Congress doing these things. It's like completely divorced from. The reality that there's something going on here. There's something already here. But again, I don't have, at the same time, I mean, I find it frustrating somewhat when you have mainstream scientists, basically turning their back to this kind of, the things that are actually already here, and they're looking beyond to try to find life with SETI, which I think is ridiculous, trying to, the old time radio signals. I don't get it, especially now. Maybe at one time it sounded like a good idea, but today it sounds sounds ridiculous to me. But yeah, I mean, even in this article, they, it was suggested back in 2017 that that Uma, that big object that entered our solar system and spun around the sun and then shot off. And it was suggested by a scientist that this could have been aliens. Like, this could have been some sort of a probe that came in to trying to search for life. And then, the way it moved, he made that suggestion. But this article, they just talk about what it's mentioned in here. They say that's outlandish. that's ridiculous, basically. Like they're not any, I mean, mainstream science is just not anywhere. They just don't look at, they just don't concern themselves with the evidence that's been compiled. I mean, they just don't look at it. They don't concern themselves with it, and they're looking out into space. Again, I think they'd be, even if it's proven, at some point, if it's, okay, here's look at this guy. It's an extraterrestrial. We got him, right? Even if we did that, they're still going to be doing these things. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I find it frustrating. I find it frustrating that there's no discussion ever by a vast majority. I would have to say over 90% of mainstream scientists about the issues that we have ongoing right here. Like, it's completely dismissed. Everything is completely dismissed. That's what it seems like. And here, like this article talks about, they're concerned about. Their concern is like if they show something and say, yeah, we think these microbes. This proves that there's life beyond Earth here. Finally. But and they don't want to make a fool out of themselves, so that's why they're inventing this scale. And here it talks about that. It says there is no shortage of cautionary tales from previous efforts to publicize apparent breakthroughs. In 1996, President Bill Clinton heralded the discovery of a meteorite from Mars that appeared to contain signs of life. If this discovery is confirmed, it will surely be one of the most stunning insights into our universe that science has ever uncovered, he said in a speech at the White House. The finding was not confirmed. Later analysis poured cold water on the tentative evidence of Martian life. Luckily, astrobiology's positive public perception emerged relatively unscathed. Yet a repeat of that incident could now have disastrous consequences. Today we have social media, so rumors, innuendo, and purposely false information propagates like wildfire, says former NASA chief historian Stephen Dick. It's all the more reason to communicate effectively. More recently, the supposed detection of Venus of atmospheric phosphine, a possible biosignature gas, had many suggesting a biological origin, but that detection has itself since been called into question. More outlandish ideas, such as the suggestion that this interstellar object Uma found in our solar system in 2017 may have been an alien spacecraft rather than an asteroid or comet, have been met with widespread disdain from scientists and have the potential to dampen confidence in genuine detections of life. I mean, why? No. I mean, maybe among the scientific community. Okay, I mean, I don't see how you could just. It was a sound. That was a sound suggestion. It displayed properties that and movements that you wouldn't expect from an asteroid or a comet. Okay, so why was that so far-fetched? And why is it so far-fetched that there is life out there? I mean, they make it sound like it's completely ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It's actually, and even they'll admit that they say they believe it. They believe it. Oh, there has to be. A lot of them will say this. But at the same time, they act like it's ridiculous. It's just that they're pulling each other in two different directions. Until we prove it, until we figure it out, then it's only totally ridiculous until we figure it out. No. I mean, I think the problem here is a lot of times is that with the way we humans are, and especially those of us in the scientific community, it seems like it's very important. It's very important that we discover something first rather than us being discovered. I think there's a concern about that among scientists for some reason. They don't talk about this, but there's some sort of concern that I think they think it's more important that we ourselves determine that there's life out there before it's determined that, there's things already here that discovered us, because somehow that will make in their minds, make the human race seem not as important or something, that, these things know we're already here and they found us, so we're not as important now. That's what it seems like. It seems like there's more of it's more important for us to make the for science, human scientists to announce that, if we've discovered life beyond Earth, we have proof that there's life beyond. It's more important to them for that than to say that, oh boy, there's something already here. They found us. So, and that's like, they don't want to, that there's something privately. It's never talked about. That's what it seems like to me. You know, maybe it's important for the human race that science announces first. Our scientists announce first that we discovered life. We know now that there's life beyond Earth because we know now that there's life on Mars. We found the evidence of microbes from that are 1 billion years old or something. Maybe it's important for the human race that scientists believe that it's important. I don't know why, but maybe they do. That we discover that fact first, that there's life out there before it seems like, oh, we've been discovered. They found us, and they're looking at us like we're a bunch of guinea pigs. I don't know. Maybe scientists just don't like to think that would somehow belittle the worth of humankind in their minds somehow. I don't know. That's what it seems like sometimes. Because it's like you read articles like this, it's completely like even that theory is outlandish. I do declare that's ridiculous. But I mean, they don't even go to the claims of someone like, say, the Betty and Barney Hill or even the government. It's not even mentioned here. The Pentagon admitting, there's things out there flying around. We don't know what they are. They don't even get into that stuff. I mean, it's very frustrating. Now we do have some scientists now that that are a little bit more open about this, as we know. There's efforts like Harvard. There's Harvard scientists going to start trying to study unidentified flying objects and try to determine what they're doing. They're setting up cameras and things like that. I mean, there's all these different plans by some scientists, but again, overall, the mainstream vast percentage, the large percent of it, it's like, to them, that's preposterous. We're going to figure things out our way, this way. And that's fine. Again, that's fine. But you completely divorce. They act like the other stuff doesn't count at all. I think you should be doing this and concerning yourself with what's going on here right now, what's being reported, what's being seen. It should be studied. It should be actually the stuff that's here. You should be looking into that. You should be putting in the same kind of effort with that as you are with trying to. With these other things that you're doing, with the trying to determine if there's alien life on a planet 20 billion light years away. You should be doing the same thing with what's going on right here, and that doesn't seem like a lot of them want to do that. But then anyway, I know that's my rant on that for now. But I just think it's it's very frustrating to see this, and I just wish there would be a focus on all of it. I mean, that's just from, just a regular Joe out there in the crowd looking at all this. I just wish there would be a focus on all of it. I think all the things they're doing are really neat. I like that they're doing. I like things that they're building a new telescope to look at the Alpha Centauri system. I like that. I think that's awesome. I mean, to figure out if there's planets there that might harbor life. That's fantastic. I think we got to do things like that. I think that we got to be concerned about biological. Concerns of biological germs coming to Earth accidentally by us bringing it in, and then we need to do those things. We need to be concerned about that. We need to be concerned about to tell people in the world that, oh yeah, guess what, there is, you should be concerned that you're going to give them the right message when that you're not 100%. I can understand all of that, but at the same time, you need to be talking about what we have going on right here too. I mean, to completely ignore that is ridiculous. I mean, you basically turn your back to it, and it's the people are seeing these things all the time. I've seen one. I know for a fact something's going on. But again, see, my story is, and tens of thousands of other stories are just not considered by mainstream scientists. They don't care, apparently. I know there are some scientists who do care. There are some scientists who do know something's going on, and some scientists within some world governments that have been looking at this and understand a lot and know for a fact, right? There has to be. But most of them out there who don't have access to what those special lucky scientists have access to, they're living in a different world. And in that world that they live in, it's devoid of all of the evidence that there is already an extraterrestrial presence, and it's here on Earth, and there is no question. There's no question about it that there's life on other planets, because that life from other planets is coming to our planet right now, and it's been coming here for at least for decades, if not longer, if not thousands of years, who knows. But we know that they've been coming here since 1947. And we know that they must not be humans, so they must be coming from someplace else, because all of a sudden they're here and they weren't here before. They're all over the place now. People see them all the time. Something's going on right here, right now. Okay, that's enough with that rant.